A very good afternoon to all the students of class 12. The chapter I'm going to take up today is The Enemy, written by Pearl S. Buck. Before we proceed with the chapter, I would just like to build up the background for this story, as the title suggests, The Enemy. So basically, it is wartime, and this lesson takes us back to the days of World War II, which lasted from 1939 to 1945, September 1, 1939 to September 2, 1945. Now, at that time, in 1939, the Nazis were there and headed by Adolf Hitler. He invaded Poland from the west, and 2 days later, France and Britain also declared war on Germany, beginning the so-called World War II. On September 17th, the Soviet troops, USSR, the Soviet troops invaded Poland from the east. And this was a global war with two opposing military alliances. That is, one were the Allies and the other one were the Axis. Okay, the Axis powers included Germany, Italy, and Japan, while the Allies were France, Great Britain, the United States, the Soviet Union, and to a lesser extent, China. Now, earlier on, when the war began, the United States did not enter the war until after the Japanese. They bombed the American fleet in Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, on December 7, 1941. And then you all must have heard about on August 6, 1945, how the Americans, the American bomber Enola Gay dropped a 5-10 bomb over the Japanese city of Hiroshima, which killed about 135,000 people. And then on August 9, another bomb, atomic bomb, was thrown on Nagasaki, which was an important port, and it was dropped on 9th August 1945, killing almost 50,000 people. And in this connection, you also must have heard about the Holocaust. This is all connected with Hitler and Nazi Germany. Now, Holocaust, I mean, from GK point of view and literature point of view also, it's very important. Now, this was the state-sponsored killing of about 6 million Jews, men, women, and children, and millions of others by Nazi Germany. As the Nazi leader Adolf Hitler, he thought that the Jews were an inferior race and an alien threat to German racial purity and community. Okay, so that's the background for this. And since we have Japan and America, okay, these two are at war with each other, and the story revolves around a prisoner of war, an American prisoner of war, POW, and he managed to escape, and then he's thrown ashore and to a place, where Dr. Sadao and his wife Hannah had their house. It was along the beach, and it was, in the evening time, at dusk we can say, and there was mist and fog all around, and when this man was thrown ashore, and they both were standing and they were just talking as a couple, reminiscing and, talking about things. And when they saw this form, coming out of water and being thrown, and when they went closer, they realized that he was an American prisoner of war. And, first the initial thought was to throw him back into the water, but then they decided against it. Why? Because he was wounded. And Dr. Sadao, being a doctor, his professional ethics came to the forefront, and he was a man who believed in humanitarian values. So he couldn't possibly throw, he was a doctor first, and it was his moral duty to, attend to this wounded man. So finally, they both decided to take this prisoner of war inside, and they attended on him and they nursed him, they cleaned his wound. Initially he was bleeding profusely because there was a gunshot, and when he was thrown ashore on the rocks and the cliffs had reopened his wound, so it was bleeding profusely. So initially they plugged it with moist moss that was there, and then they brought the body, they brought the man inside and kept him in Sadao's father's room, and it was a traditional room, a Japanese room, because Sadao's father was a very, very conservative and a traditional Japanese person, and believing very strongly in his culture. And they kept him there, they nursed him, and they, despite the man being in a very dirty condition and bleeding condition, still they gave him that silken quilt and things like that. And then Sadao also operated upon him, and there was a big risk involved, because he was from the enemy camp, and keeping an enemy in the house meant that they would be labeled as traitors. And Sadao was actually in great danger, because if he was labeled as a traitor of keeping a prisoner in the house, things would really go wrong for the family, because there were two small children, his wife was there, and so he took a very big risk initially. And there were servants in the house also, and there was the gardener, then there was this Yumi, the one who looked after the children and the household chores. So they also became defiant, because they thought that this was a wrong thing being done, and that they wanted to show their loyalty by the fact that they were with their country, and they did not like the idea of Dr. Sadao and Hannah looking after this prisoner of war. And they left the house, and they both of them looked after this man, and they nursed him, and gradually he recovered. Now Sadao, it was really weighing on his mind. Now he decided to tell the general. First he started writing a letter. He just wrote half the letter and then he put it in the drawer. Then finally he went to the general. Now this General Takima, now he was very, very dependent on Dr. Sadao, because he himself was not keeping well, and he needed Dr. Sadao all the time, with the fear that he might need him, because he was indisposed, he was not well. And so as a result, when Dr. Sadao went to meet him, he narrated the whole story to him, and then the general, because he had his own vested interest, because he needed the doctor for himself, because he was a very good doctor. And along with being a doctor, he was a scientist also. And at that particular time, everybody was, as the war was going on, all doctors and all people were there out in the field to look after the wounded soldiers and things like that. But Dr. Sadao had been kept back, because of the general. Number one, because of the general was indisposed, so he could need the doctor's services anytime. And secondly, because Dr. Sadao was he was doing some research work to have, after being operated, to leave behind a clean wound, without scars. So they were devising a method of surgery that there's no scar left on the body, So for these two reasons, Dr. Sadao had been kept back, while the other doctors and everybody was in the field, attending to the wounded soldiers and doing their little bit there. Now this general, because of his vested interest also, so he assured Dr. Sadao that nothing to worry, and then he told him that he would send some assassins, these hired killers that are there, and they would come into the house and they would kill this man and dispose of his body later on. So there was nothing for him to fear. But ultimately the general forgot, or he just overlooked it, maybe because of his own vested interest, because he needed the doctor and he had great faith in the doctor, and he did not trust anybody else, and his own life was in the doctor's hand. So he forgot to send the assassins. Then the doctor waited for 3 days at night. He kept the windows open and everything open. He did not tell his wife about it, otherwise she would get very worked up. So any sound that was there at night, the doctor would wake up thinking that the killers had come to kill the man and take away his body. But nothing like that happened. Ultimately the doctor helped that prisoner of war to escape. He arranged for a boat, he arranged for quilt, he arranged for food, he arranged for water, and in the darkness he told him to leave. And he would reach another island, and when he saw any Korean boat or going across, he could leave from there. He gave him a flashlight, that's a torch, and things like that, and he ultimately saved the life of that man. Now this basically the story written by Pearl S. Buck, it is a heartrending portrayal of the conflict that went between the doctor's heart and mind. That how people talk about enemies, but then before enemies, basically one should remember that everybody is a human being. All these boundaries and these prejudices, they're all petty issues, and they're all man-made issues, so we should shun all that, and we should think on broader horizons, which the doctor did. And ultimately the reward that he got was that the prisoner of war was able to escape. So he had done his good deed. Though from the other's point of view, like from the servant's point of view, he was not doing the right thing. He was a traitor. He was going against his country by sheltering this man, Tom, who is from, the enemy camp. That means he was an American. But Dr. Sadao and his wife also assisted him and stood by him, because they believed in, exhibiting humanitarian values and, helping the man out. Okay. So that is that. So, and another point that the writer has actually tried to bring about is that, the horrors of war. The horrors of war. How basically it, we can say that it is an anti-war story, though the writer has not condemned it very directly. She hasn't spelled out the war being, categorically condemning war. But it certainly aims at it, because in between, when they talk about when Hannah is bathing or cleaning the man, and she sees all those red marks and those scars on his body, and at once she thinks about the General Takima, and because the scars on his body meant how brutally he had been beaten up and, had been ill-treated, and that is what is done, because people then tend to forget that basically before an enemy, the person is actually a human being. So enemy comes later on. So, being treated so badly, and then she, correlates it with the General Takima being a brutal man, and because she had heard about him that he used to beat up his wife very brutally. So if he could beat up his wife brutally, one cannot actually visualize what he must be doing with these prisoners of war. How they must be, ruthlessly and mercilessly beaten up and, ill-treated. Okay. So basically, the story deals with the conflict which the doctor and his wife they face, when this prisoner of war is thrown ashore. Okay, and they are reminded that his country is at war with America. That is, Japan is at war with America. But then, there is always a world beyond these reasons, beyond these man-made petty prejudices and the bias that we observe. Okay. And there is a world of professional loyalty and the world of piety, P-I-E-T-Y. One has to rise above these issues and fulfill one's duty and purpose as a human being. So the professional ethics of the doctor, that because it's a doctor's duty to try right till the end to save a man from, save a person from dying. And that's exactly what Dr. Sadao did. Though he was a very, he was an eminent surgeon, he was a well-known scientist, he was, a very dutiful son, because his father had actually, his father's ardent desire was to make him a very good surgeon, and that's why he had sent him to America, to do medicine, to become a good surgeon. And then another dutiful son's duty that he fulfilled was, his father was very conservative and very conventional about Japanese culture. So he did fall in love with a girl that he met in America, but he did not profess his love for her or anything till he was assured that she was a true Japanese. And it was only when they came back, and then he took his father's permission, and then he professed his love for her, and then they got married. So all good points in Dr. Sadao, Okay. Now, the writer also, has beautifully brought out all the points, how the doctor struggled, and small things like when he's attending or when he's operating, he says, he addresses the prisoner as my friend. And it's highly ironical. Why? Because he was basically an enemy, but he calls him my friend. Now that's the doctor's basic duty, how he attended, his patients with so much of love and affection, and like a genuine, because doctors are supposed to be representatives of God on earth, messiahs, how they save people. So that is why, so beautifully brought out small things that she has highlighted Dr. Sadao as a wonderful human being. Okay, and now the writer Perles Buck was born on June 26, 1892 in West Virginia, USA. And when she was 3 months old, her family, she was taken to China by her parents, and they lived for about 40 years. And that's why she's so well versed with the customs and traditions of the countries on that side of the world. She was a bilinguist, okay, English and Chinese. And she also won the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1938. And she's authored about 70 books and different genres, like novels, stories, biographies, autobiographies, drama, children's literature, poetry, and translation from Chinese also. Okay. All right. Now that's the basic story, and what I would like to do with you is the question and answers, basically. Okay. The first question: who was Dr. Sadao? Where was his house? Dr. Sadao was a famous Japanese surgeon and a scientist. He was researching on a discovery to make wounds entirely clean. His house was located next to a narrow beach, and the beach was outlined with bent pines. Bent, they were not straight, they were bent, with a bend. A little uninhabited island also existed near his house. And in storm, because maybe the level of the water was up, so the island seemed to be submerged. A mile or two on either side of the house was a fishing village, but near his house there existed only the bare and lonely coast, dangerous with these rocks and pointed cliffs, okay? And the whole water beyond was spiked with rocks, just as, boys make spikes here on their hair. So the coastline was spiked with rocks. Okay. What did Dr. Sadao and his wife do with the man who was washed ashore? So Dr. Sadao and Hannah, even though they debated a lot and they wanted to throw him back into the sea and just leave him alone and, not do anything, but finally they could not do such a thing. And Dr. Sadao and Hannah carried the man inside, and they washed his wounds, nursed his wounds, and then they operated on the wounded man. And the operation was successful. And the doctor was very happy that now the prisoner of war, whose name was Tom, was out of danger. And in between, they did try to hand him over to the police, as a prisoner of war. But the man was so weak, he was wounded, and they knew that if they handed him over to the police, he would be killed. So what was the point in saving him at that time if they were going to hand him over to the police to be killed? So they, discarded with that idea. And they thought of keeping him till he recovered, so that later on they would decide what to do with him. Okay. Uh, Dr. Sadao was compelled by his duty as a doctor to save a dying enemy. But what made Hannah to sympathize with the American sailor, American prisoner of war, in spite of open defiance from the servants? Okay. Now, Dr. Sadao and Hannah both loved their country. I mean, it was not because they were looking after this prisoner of war who was from the enemy camp that they were traitors or they were not loyal to their country. Okay. They didn't have any liking for the white people, but they felt that Americans, believed in racial prejudice. But both of them were happy that Japan was fighting against the white people, because they were not very comfortable, because they felt that the Americans were, they believed in racism and racial prejudice, okay? But Dr. Sadao had been trained as a doctor even to save a dying enemy. That's the professional ethics of a doctor. Handing him over to the police would have meant, throwing him into the jaws of death, because ultimately they would kill him. So he put aside all these considerations, all these thoughts, and he respected the ethics of his profession. Now, Hannah, his wife, was a woman with a tender heart. Women, as it is, are a little soft-hearted, okay? And she couldn't bear the sight of this wounded and bleeding soldier. And then she did not want her husband to think that, she was not helping him, or she was not trying to, agree to what he wanted to do. And as a dutiful wife, okay, she herself helped Sadao to carry the wounded man into the house. And, so she did rise to the occasion, and she tried to support her husband. Okay, next question. What explains the attitude of the general, Takima, in the matter of the enemy soldier? Was it simply self-absorption, thinking about yourself only, your own selfish or vested interests? So the answer is the general's attitude was totally governed by self-absorption or vested interest. He was Dr. Sadao's patient, and he did not trust anyone except him when it came to his health. And he could not take the risk of living unprotected if the doctor was executed for treachery or being a traitor, okay, if people came to know. So he had personal assassins. Assassins are people who assassinate, killers, whom he promised to use for killing the injured soldier. But ironically, he forgot his promise to help the doctor, and maybe, he just left it, or he didn't want anybody to know. If he sent the assassins, they could also have spread word around, and the doctor could be in trouble. So the best thing was, to just keep quiet about it and let things take its own course, which it finally did. Okay. While hatred against a member of the enemy race is justifiable, especially during wartime, what makes a human being rise above narrow prejudices? So the answer is, today when in the past, war was not such a frequent affair, but today, war these days has become a way of life. The newspaper, in fact, it is full of broadcasts about wars between different countries. Today also, if you see, in all parts of the world, there is no peace at all. They're at war directly or indirectly, Sometimes it's verbal war, and sometimes, of course, it's with arms and ammunition. So hatred and enmity now occupy a huge part of life, and sometimes it feels that the world will soon come to an end. And these days also, if you see, what has been happening with China, and you feel that this country is going to side with China, and that country is going to side with China, and India is in great danger, and people have been talking about a third world war kind of a thing. So we are always living in that threat or in that fear, okay? However, the success of humanity comes when we rise above this enmity or these petty issues and show that our love towards the civilization in some way or the other. There are people, like during the lockdown also, you've seen, great real life heroes, who came forward to help people to, transport them or to give food. How people from abroad also have been sending help, to India. All these langars and these community centers that are distributing food and clothes and things like that to these people. So that kind of humanity, it saves civilization and it saves people. So Dr. Sadao also did the same. He did whatever he could to save the life of a man whom he knew was a war prisoner. And the moment he saw the injured man, he was filled with concern. And how on the third day also, when Tom wanted to get up and sit up, he told him, no, you have to lie down. And he, even before he sent him in that boat, before he made him escape, he checked his pulse and he, his temperature and everything. He ensured that he was in a condition to move out of the house, which was actually commendable, as a doctor. And he ignored the fact that he was an enemy, and he saved him because he was basically a human being. Okay. Do you think the doctor's final solution to the problem was the best possible one in the circumstances? Or the question can be framed in another way. Do you think Dr. Sadao's final decision to let the man leave the house was the best possible one in the circumstances? Why or why not? Now, the answer: the doctor tried his level best in all possible ways to save the injured soldier as a part of his duty. But the ultimate question was what to do next, Like, he had saved him, he was okay, and then he told the general, and then the general talked about the assassins coming, but however, nothing of that sort happened. So it cannot be said that he betrayed his country, as he told the truth to the general. However, when he noticed that the soldier was to be killed, not for the benefit of the country, but only to save the doctor's life, he decided to help him to escape. This is very important. Children, remember, Dr. Sadao, he knew that the general would send the killers. Why would he send them? So that the doctor could not be blamed. His image would not be tarnished, because the general needed the doctor in any circumstance. Okay, so when he realized that that the soldier was not being killed for the benefit of the country, but only to save the doctor's life because the general needed him, okay? It was then that he decided on this plan to let the man escape from there, and he assisted him and helped him. So Dr. Sadao's final decision was the best possible solution in the present circumstances. The secret that he was sheltering the enemy in his house, it was already out, because the loyal servants of the house, they had been very defiant, and they had walked out, they had gone away, and they knew everything. So every moment that they lived, it was full of tension. So Dr. Sadao thought of a plan, and he discussed it with the prisoner. It was the escape plan that he discussed. And Dr. Sadao was to make a boat ready with all the things that the prisoner would require. Like, he would require quilt, water, food, a flashlight, and he would row to the nearby island from where a Korean fishing boat would take him. Only after sending the man in a boat could Dr. Sadao, have a sound sleep. And then he had saved the man's life. How could he give him, throw him back into hands who would only kill him, So his whole effort would, be wasted. So that was the best possible decision that he took. And he proved himself to be a good, dutiful doctor. Okay. So whether he was an enemy or not, that did not matter, as long as he was satisfied that he had saved the life of a man, and that is what is more fulfilling and rewarding for a doctor. Okay, some other questions. Why didn't Sadao want to know anything about the white man, about his name, about what had happened and from where he came? So he didn't want to know any details about the white man because he didn't want to become emotionally involved with him, The less he knew him, the better it would be for him, okay? Both for him also and for that white man also. He did not want to get emotionally involved. So he just, it was purely, a doctor's business kind of a thing of just treating him. Okay. How is Hannah's perspective about the white man different from Yumi's perspective, the lady who worked in the house? Hannah sees the white man as a person who is in need of help and not as a nameless enemy who should be killed. Whereas Yumi considered him to be, an enemy. She did not think about him as a man who needed help, a wounded man who needed help. And this point is very, very central to the story because it talks about how all people are similar and that they should all be treated in a humane manner. So that is why the difference was shown. Hannah looks at him as a man who was in need of medical help and care. But Yumi looked at him only as an enemy. Okay, next question. The theme of racism is reflected in the story. Give examples. And yes, this is very true. The theme of racism is reflected in several ways. Okay. Number one, as I told you in the synopsis, Sadao's father stressed on purity of race and traditionalism. Okay. Sadao didn't start a relationship with Hannah until he was sure that she was purely Japanese or very pure in her race. Second point, Yumi refused to touch the American or wash him before the operation because he was a white man and he was an enemy. Moreover, when he left, when he escaped from there and the servants came back, Yumi cleaned the guest room thoroughly because she did not want the white man's smell to linger on in the room. The third point is Sadao had strong feelings against white people. So both Sadao and Hannah felt that Americans were racist. Okay. What did Dr. Sadao do to help Tom escape to freedom? Dr. Sadao knew that the wounded American sailor Tom could be arrested any time if he was seen. So he decided to help him in escaping by, giving him his private boat with food, quilt, water, and other things that were required. And Tom could row it to a little island not far from the coast because it was uninhabited and nobody lived there. And in this way, he could escape to freedom. Okay. Why did Dr. Sadao help in the escape of the American soldier? Was it an act of treachery? Treachery? Can you justify his action? Treachery is going against, being a traitor, disloyal, okay? Dr. Sadao didn't like white people, of course, that was there, but still he gave shelter to a wounded enemy. Remember, the word wounded is the main thing, okay? Not enemy, but wounded, okay? He arranged for his escape later on when he recovered, and had the young American been healthy, Sadao would have handed him over to the police maybe. But here was a bleeding and a dying man, and he was a doctor and he was trained to, save even a dying enemy. His professional ethics came to the forefront. Therefore, he helped him escape. Human considerations or humanitarian values outweighed all the petty things. In what context does Hannah remember General Takima? What does she infer? What conclusion does she come to? So while bathing him, washing him and applying medicine to the young soldier as Sadao operated on him, Hannah wondered if the stories of torture of POWs, that means prisoner of wars, were true. She then remembered how General Takima ruthlessly beat his wife. So Hannah deduced, she came to the conclusion that if General Takima could be so cruel to his wife, he could as well be, extremely cruel to a prisoner. And the deep red scars on the man's neck confirmed her apprehension or her doubts. Next question. How did Dr. Sadao ensure that the American soldier left his house but he himself remained safe and secure? Now, Dr. Sadao was a Japanese surgeon, and after treatment of the American prisoner of war, Tom, he informed the general as a true Japanese about the soldier. But as a doctor, he saved his life by providing him right treatment and helped him to escape at night. Okay. How does the writer indicate that Dr. Sadao's father was a very traditional and conventional man? Dr. Sadao's father was a very traditional and conventional man, and he believed, because they had their house next to the beach, and he believed these islands where Dr. Sadao, as a little boy, he used to be playing, and he used to tell him that, islands are stepping stones for Japan's future. He thought so strongly about Japan. He was a quiet man. He never joked or played with his son. His father was stern, but he was very, very caring, and especially about his future. And he believed in traditional and arranged marriages, and he was proud of his nation and never used foreign goods. Okay, everything in his room was made in Japan. He did not sit on a chair or sleep on a bed, and rather he slept on a mat. So these are some of the things that shows us that he was very traditional and conventional. Why does Dr. Sadao mutter the words "my friend" while treating the American prisoner of war? What is ironical about his words? Now, Dr. Sadao was trained to address patients as friends. When you build up a friendly rapport with the patient also feels comfortable, and the doctor also, if he's kind and very soft and just as we speak to our friends, so the same way. Therefore, he utters the words "my friend" while treating the American prisoner of war. But it is ironical since the patient was from the enemy camp. Okay. What role did the American professor play in bringing Hannah and Sadao together? American professor. This was the time when Sadao was in America pursuing his higher studies, when he had gone for his training as a surgeon. So the American professor and his wife, they were very kind people, they were anxious to do something for their few foreign students. But their rooms were very small, and the food was also not of a very good quality. The professor was a dull person, and his wife was very, very talkative. Okay, she was a talkative woman. So at the professor's house, he had met Hannah, and he had fallen in love with her, and then eventually he married her. So that was the meeting ground. Okay, so the American professor's house. Next question. There's a statement. But Sadao, searching the spot of black in the twilight sea that night, had his reward. What was the reward? The reward was the escape of the enemy. Despite all moral dilemma, that conflict of what to do, this, that, and then Dr. Sadao listens to his heart every time, and he takes the right decision. And his wife, Hannah, gently follows him and supports him. And at last, the general also forgets to keep his promise, and this gives Sadao an opportunity to reconsider his decision. And he gives the soldier his personal boat and food and bottled water and quilt, and he asks him to go towards the uninhabited island where a Korean fishing boat could spot him, and then he would be able to escape. And Dr. Sadao searched the spot of black in the twilight sea that night to see if the man was still there. But there was no light, because he had told the prisoner, he had told Tom that you just, give me those flash, light, and then I will come to know whether you are there or you are not there, or you've been able to escape. So when there's no flashlight seen and, no light, then Dr. Sadao, he understood that obviously the man had gone. So the man moving away from there was Dr. Sadao's reward, because he had worked hard on him, he had operated on him only for the reason that the man should survive, the man should live and not die. So that was his reward. Why was Dr. Sadao not sent abroad along with the troops, along with the soldiers? As I told you in the beginning, the general considered Dr. Sadao indispensable. He could not do without him. He felt that his life could be saved only by Dr. Sadao, who was very, very skilled. And he did not trust anybody except Dr. Sadao. So he had not been sent with the troops. And secondly, Dr. Sadao was carrying on this research work of leaving wounds clean. Okay. Next question. The fog in the story, the enemy is symbolic. Elucidate or elaborate or explain. In the beginning, when both husband and wife are standing on the beach over there, and when this man is washed ashore, there is a fog and mist, so that is symbolic. So what is it symbolic of? So the fog which appears soon before the American soldier shows up, it symbolizes Sadao and Hannah's predicament and the lack of clarity concerning what they should do with the man on the beach. They were not sure. So, it's vague, hazy. They were not sure. So that symbolizes that, the lack of clarity, that what should they do with that prisoner of war. It might also symbolize secrecy, because you cannot see, so something secret, secrecy. Considerations of safety compel them to keep a man's presence in their home a secret. They are faced with the dilemma of whether or not to save the man's life. On one hand, they are sheltering an enemy in their home, especially, because he's from the American camp, the enemy camp, okay? And that could endanger the entire family, could endanger or be a threat to the entire family. On the other hand, they feel incapable of throwing a wounded man back into the sea where he would certainly die, or hand him over to the police who would definitely kill him, So they hesitate to turn him over to the police also, okay? So it's symbolic. So secret, yes, number one. And number two is fog represents the lack of clarity. They do not, because, when they saw the man, they wanted to throw him back into the sea also, on one hand. On the other hand, they wanted to treat him. So lack of clarity, they were very unsure. So that's what the fog symbolizes. Okay. Dr. Sadao was a patriotic Japanese as well as a dedicated surgeon. How could he honor both the values? He was a patriotic Japanese as well as a dedicated surgeon. Now, Dr. Sadao was a true Japanese. He was obedient and he loved Japanese tradition and culture. Because we have proof for that, because he waited for his father's approval for marrying Hannah, a girl he loved. So he loved his family a lot. Then he was an eminent surgeon as well as a scientist, because he was the on-call doctor for the general, Takima, okay? Sadao truly believed in his professional ethics, and hence he harbors means shelters, and a wounded prisoner of war. He faces a lot of difficulties at home from his wife and the servants, but still he decides not to forego his professional duties. And despite the great risk to his life and his position in society, he nurses him, he looks after him, and he cares for him very well. And all this he does because he does not want to let his personal prejudices, okay, override or overrule his duties as a doctor. However, out of patriotism, he does tell the general about, this whole episode of the prisoner of war being there. He could not destroy a human creation, and therefore he asked for the general's help. When that plan failed, he ultimately helps the prisoner to escape. To this, I would just like to do, a few points on the character sketches of the characters involved in the story. We first take on Dr. Sadao. Dr. Sadao, we start with him, was a papa's boy, and he respected him and he revered him like God. All through his life, he remembered his father's observation about the islands in the south, being stepping stones for Japan. He always did everything that his father said. He was an obedient son, and he carried out his father's wishes because his father wanted him to be a skillful surgeon and a scientist. And he came true to his father's expectations. And all through Japan, he was known as a renowned surgeon. And he had a scholarly bent of mind, and he was an efficient scientist also. Okay, he wanted to perfect a discovery, of rendering wounds absolutely clean after a surgery. And he was, greatly appreciated by the general, whom he looked after very, very carefully and efficiently. Okay. Now, Dr. Sadao had great regards for the feelings and sentiments of his father, that we come to know. Then he was a very caring and loving husband, and, his regards for the views of his wife. And, when he sees that his wife is facing a lot of discomfort due to this, so he does talk to the general, and he waits for the general's assassins to come. But ultimately, when they don't, then he helps him to escape, so that, they all could heave a sigh of relief and they could relax. Okay. And he always consults Hannah, whenever he has to do something, and he values her suggestions. Okay. He's very meticulous in his work. And when he's working, he's totally involved, and he turns a blind eye and a deaf ear to everything else except his patients. Okay. And he has a religious devotion towards his profession. Okay. And he's very, very particular, because he remembered the words of his professor, who had once said that ignorance of the human body is the surgeon's cardinal sin. Okay, so he's very, very accurate and very, he does things very, very efficiently, meticulously. Okay. So on the whole, we can say the doctor is basically good at heart, and, he does get a little upset and restless towards the end of the lesson because of the American, but then later on, he tries to find a solution also for it, himself, and he helps him to escape. So, a great human being. Now we talk about Hannah, and through the portrayal of Hannah, who maintains a balance of the qualities of head and heart. Okay, so the writer projects her own concept of an ideal woman. The writer has projected. Okay, and she is a perfect homemaker, who's capable of switching over to any domestic role with very ease. So when the servants leave, she takes over very, very, boldly and very patiently, and she carries out her household chores. Though the work was too much, and she had a small baby also, and then the patient also was there to be looked after. But she did everything very perfectly, okay, and with ease, okay. Then, in a zest for patriotism, she does not lose sight of the fact that the wounded American is a human being first and an enemy afterwards. Then she actively participates in all the vital decisions, important decisions that the couple takes, and she speaks volumes for her presence of mind, confidence, and determination. Okay. So she's very cooperative and understanding, and eventually she joins hands with her husband and renders him all the help that is required to make the operation a success, or to make to help in the recovery of that person. Okay. She has, though she had never done the job of a nurse earlier, but she performs the duty with skill. Okay, and despite all the tensions and fear and worries, she carries herself with dignity while dealing with her irate and revolting servants. Okay, she knows fully well how to maintain a distance without losing her cool. Okay, so if we sum up, she is an epitome, E-P-I-T-O-M-E, an epitome of femininity. Okay, she plays a perfect wife, a capable and devoted mother, and a skilled homemaker. Okay. Then the third one that we come on to is Dr. Sadaw's servants. Okay. Yumi, the governess, and the two servants in the kitchen, and the old gardener. They're all simple-minded people, and they're incapable of original thinking. You know, their minds only digest the thoughts that are fed to them by the authorities, and they are patriots to a fault. Okay, I mean, they just believe in whatever is told to them, and you know, sometimes, because as I told you earlier in one of the questions, Hannah saw him as a man who needed their help and care, but Yumi just saw him as an enemy. Okay, so the mental makeup of the servants, you know, when you observe it minutely, one finds that all of them are a confused lot, and their love and loyalty towards their country stands in sharp contrast against their love of Dr. Sadaw's family. That is why, in spite of the fact that they all leave the doctor's house, none of them betrays the secret, okay, of the American prisoner of war being in the house. But as soon as the American leaves the house, all of them come back, okay. Then we talk of the Tom the American, the prisoner of war, okay. So this man has great willpower and great stamina, who could survive, you know, that a bullet wound, and then even when his wound was reopened on those cliffs and rocks, and I mean, he braves it all, okay, and the furious waves and the rocks when he was washed ashore, everything, he braves it all, okay. So he had been tortured, he had suffered a lot, and hunger and starvation had made him almost skeletal, okay. But even in that unconscious state, he had a strong, indomitable will. I-N-D-O-M-I-T-A-B-L-E, indomitable will, okay. Nothing could stop him, okay. Dr. Sadaw's observations that the man had extraordinary vitality and strength and courage, and Dr. Sadaw believed that he would live in spite of all, you know. He had that feeling because of his willpower. And when he gains consciousness after a successful operation and, you know, after a bit of recuperation, he's rightly fearful that he's in the enemy territory and they might hand him over to the police. But, you know, when he gets the assurance and he sees their caring and loving nature, his fears subside, okay? And his remaining alive is nothing short of a miracle, but miracles do happen in this world. And the miracle happened because the doctor acted as an angel, as a messiah for him, and he saved his life a second time by making his escape possible. First time when the bullet, you know, the wound, the bullet, he was operated, and so he saved him once, and then to enable him to escape the second time. So this incident which took place, it makes the readers to believe where there is a will, there is a way. Okay. General Takima, next one. General Takima, you know, was a very, you know, a self-centered person, we could say, because he depended so much on Dr. Sadaw that he was even ready to, you know, overlook this this great problem of Dr. Sadao having this prisoner of war in his house. Okay. Now, Dr. Sadao was also kept back by General Takima because he could need his services any time. So again, we see that the selfish motive of self-centered attitude of the general. Whereas Dr. Sadao could have been a boon, you know, out there in the field for the various troops, you know, the wounded soldiers as war was going on, okay? But he was kept back, okay? Then we also come to know that he was ruthless because he beat up his wife, and then we also come to know that in spite of, you know, the promise that he made to the doctor to send these private assassins to wipe out the American prisoner, but then he desists from doing that, and he's on the pretext that he forgot all about it, okay? Then he had a subtle sense of humor. He talks about the German ruthlessness and American sentimentality in a humorous ways. The title is very apt, we know, because the whole story centers around this Second World War, where one of the prisoners of war, an American prisoner of war, is washed ashore and he is looked after and nursed by a Japanese surgeon, okay, a Japanese surgeon, okay. Now, in no ways could an American be treated like a friend, but here we do see that Dr. Sadao actually looked after him as a friend, and he tried to save his life right till the end, okay. So that is the title, of course. And then the theme is, it is a story of conflict between man's inherent humaneness and the hatred and prejudices created by pseudo-nationalism and war. In the name of nationalism, sometimes we go, you know, overboard and we carry and stretch it too far, which actually becomes, you know, something that is not acceptable, okay? So that is one part of the theme about war, you know, that it is illogical, okay? Then another theme that runs parallel is that the people of the world are inherently the same, you know, despite the superficial differences of skin color, then culture and nationalities, okay? We should consider people of other countries also as human beings, as our friends and not as our enemies, okay? Then we come on to just three messages that are there here. One is the story talks about an anti-war story. Then I won't go into detail. The humaneness in war, okay, how the prisoners, you know, and this reminds me of that thing, you know, how the Indian soldiers and Pakistan, and they were beheaded and, you know, the head was sent, and how they were tortured ruthlessly and all, you know. So that is the humaneness in war. Even if you're found in the territory of the enemy country, so to speak, I mean, there is a way of carrying out a dialogue, or, you know, how can you just behead somebody or kill somebody to that extent? And the third one is patriotism and medical profession, you know. I mean, of course, you have to be a patriot, but at the same time, your ethics as a medical professional should be very, very right and correct, and we should work for the welfare of humanity. So I think I have tried to cover basically everything. Hope you understand, and I hope the question and answers do benefit you. Thank you very much for watching, listening, and being there. God bless you all, children.